Hi, my name is Jada Rawls, and this evening I'll be interviewing Larry, an academic advisor here at Newman University. What is your date of birth?
June 14th, 1982.
What were your hobbies in your younger years?
I liked football and baseball. And I liked baseball to the point of maybe obsession when I was younger. I used to follow box scores in the newspaper. There wasn't really internet yet. And I would follow the box scores and decide which teams needed to make trades for which players based on what I thought they should do when I was like 7 years old. I also enjoyed reading. I read a lot. And we had these Reader Digest condensed novels and books that my grandfather had bought years before, and I went through all of them. And didn't understand a lot of them because they were like for adults sometimes. But I went through those, and I always enjoyed writing. That was always something I...
What was high school like for you?
Early in the morning. We had to be there at 7:30. And if, it was 7:29, and if we were late, they had to write us up, and we had to go down, and it was a nightmare. I was late more than once. I still have dreams about it, actually, where I wake up and I'm in a dream, oh, I'm 2 minutes late for homeroom. So we were always tired, but I was in the musical stuff, and I wasn't any good at it. I couldn't really play anything well, but they pretended not to notice. And I played drums and piano and things like that, so it was good. It was good. I made a lot of friends that way.
How would you describe yourself in 3 words?
Reserved, studious, I read a lot, and well-rested. I like to go to bed early.
What was your major in college?
Was English. Mm-hmm.
Did you face any obstacles or challenges in college?
It was never... I think a lot of students fall into the maybe drinking too much kind of thing, something like that. I never did that. Probably my biggest thing was procrastination. I think that's an English major trait. I think a lot of English majors suffer from that. And then when you have other things sort of going on, like one of the things, I was in a band. We're terrible, terrible band. I'll just tell you how bad we were. I showed up to the first rehearsal. I was supposed to play keyboards, right? And the drummer had quit. And they said, well, you got to be the drummer now. I don't know how to do that. But I did. And then we were playing a show a month later. So when you have those other things, it's easy to say, well, I'm not going to read those 300 pages of Tess of the D'Urbervilles tonight. I'm going to, practice my drumming, which I'm not any good at anyway. So those things can get in the way. The other thing is, as English majors, we're cocky. We believe that we can write a paper at the last minute and it's going to be the greatest thing the teacher ever read. No, we're absolutely wrong on that, because writing is a process, and I always knew that, but I didn't really learn it right away, that it also applied to me, And that's one of the things I teach when I teach writing. I teach process and how important that is from my own experience, really. So those were the things more than anything else, procrastination and sort of letting the other stuff get in the way when it probably shouldn't have.
How did they help you get you where you are today?
It's immeasurable, really, because where I am right now, I teach here and I work in the academic advising department. If it hadn't been for the teachers, a chance meeting with Gail Corso one day where we ran into each other, I think in a parking lot or something like that. And she said, well, you're doing your master's degree, come back and teach a course. And I said, okay. And that's how it all started. Had I not known the people here and had a good relationship with them, and that's one of the things I always tell my students, form good relationships with your instructors and your colleagues and fellow students, because you don't know what that'll lead to. And I don't mean that in any kind of way that you're using people or anything like that, but contacts rely on one another, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's how the world works. And people want to help usually. And that led to teaching more and more classes and eventually being offered a full-time position. So without Newman, I wouldn't be at Newman. And that's another thing where I don't know if I could say that about any other place, So.
When did you decide what your career would be?
Early on. I'm one of the rare exceptions. When we advise students, we tell them, half a year can change your major, within your first year probably, and what you came in with today isn't what you're going to graduate as and all that. And I'm the exception. When I was about 16 years old, I knew what I wanted to do. I had read Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, and I said, okay, I want to do something like this. I want to be involved with writing or books or something. And then I read The Great Gatsby, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do then. I knew I wanted to be writing, and I wanted to be working with other people who were writing. And I wanted people to know how important writing is, and how it's communication and all that, but also how it can make people feel. Because when you read that, in my version of The Great Gatsby, it's page 93, when he sees the green light at the end of the dock and he explains what it is and what it means. It's something that tells you that other people have felt that way. You know, we've all felt that way, and so has somebody else. They put it in the words so eloquently. And that's when I knew, yeah, that's what it's going to be. I want to be in that field doing something like that. And I never waver from that. I still feel that way. This is 15 years later now. And that, if anything, that passion and that feeling is intensified over that time.
Why did you choose to teach at Newman?
It was presented to me by, I don't want to say by chance, but just that chance meeting I described earlier, and I never looked anywhere else, because this feels like home. You know, I spent so much time here as a student, and now as an instructor and advisor, I work with so many clubs and things that I feel like I'm here more than I'm at home. I feel like I've been here more often than I've been anywhere else in my life, and that kind of feeling. You know, it's the kind of thing where once you have it, you don't want it to, you don't want to have to start that somewhere else, I think. Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 20 years?
At 20 years, I don't know. I don't think anybody can answer that question. I know what I'd like to have happen. I know what's reasonable to expect, possibly, but I don't really know, and I don't really worry about it.
How has Newman University impacted your life?
Way to really describe that. I mean, it's been a part of my life for the better part of 10 years now, which is a third of my life. And I think if you saw me when I was 20 and today, you might not believe that I've matured, but I think I have. I've become more conscious of the world around me. And a lot of that is actually just hanging out with these nuns. If you ever want to hear a crazy story, you stop a nun, and they'll tell you stuff that to them is just nothing. You know, oh, well, you know, we were doing this, and, you know, oh, there was a war, but we had to get through that war to get the, you know, the orphans the food they needed. You know, like, this is the kind of stuff they've done. So hearing their stories and the things they've gone through and how nonchalantly they discuss it makes all my problems feel like they're that big. So knowing that there's a larger world out there, and the nuns have been very, very kind to me. I've been invited into that world a little bit, and helped them with a few projects here and there. Very small things, but things that I've enjoyed greatly. And that, you know, it's not even a spiritual thing. It's a moral and sociological thing where you say, well, I believe in these things too, and let's, you know, try to work to get a couple of these things accomplished. So getting that broader worldview and hopefully instilling some of that into my students, that's been interesting, and it's been a lot of fun. So,
what do you love about Newman?
It comes to, more than anything else, it's probably stuff like this. Working with students on projects and just when they stick their head in the door, that kind of thing. When we do like testing and registration days, my favorite part of that whole day is just incoming students, 17 and 18 years old, and they sit down in a chair across from the desk and just talking to them for about 20 minutes about nothing in particular. You know, do they like sports? Do they like, you know, the Phillies or something like that? Just that interaction every day, and then being in the classroom. There's nothing better than that. Teaching a literature class is, if you told me I had to do that 8 hours a day 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, I'd say fine, let's do that. Because being able to talk about these things and then make it relate to what students are going through in their lives, not just saying, oh, well, this happened because, this author wrote this and that's important because, but having that discussion, well, this is why this is important, and this is how, have you ever felt this way? Giving names to places and feelings and things we've all felt is the most important part of any job when you're talking about the arts or something like that. And that's, what I hope I'm doing. Sometimes some days you're more successful than others, but you hope so.
What has kept you here at Newman?
They won't let me leave. No, the people, that's it. It's that simple. My friendship with the sisters in the convent has been very special, working with students. Those are the things that more than make up for all the annoyances that occur, all the paperwork we have to do, all the, is this getting done, is that getting done? People like my boss in the advising center here, he's a great guy. I just enjoy seeing him every day. You can't replace that, and you don't want to try, because if you're looking for that grass is always greener kind of thing, you're not going to find it. You got to appreciate what you have, and I'm very appreciative of being here and working with students and being a part of their life and having them be a part of mine, and there isn't anywhere else I'd rather be.
Thanks, Larry. It was a pleasure hearing your story.